Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Dalton from the Petrol List. It's kind of echoey. Anyway, as you can tell, I'm not in the studio. I don't usually drink on camera, but it is a special occasion. I am on vacation. Anyway, you guys don't care about that. You care about the last race. Sorry, I'm gonna cover my face while Anyway, let's get it started. All right, so the Monaco GP was both boring and amazing for a couple of different reasons. The first one is magic has happened 2 races in a row. Leclerc finally wins his hometown race. The man from Monaco, he actually won the Monaco GP. He's been there, I want to say like 3 or 4 times. A couple of DNFs, a couple of for his standards, mediocre finishes. In this one, he qualified well, and you know Monaco, it turns into a traffic jam after the first lap. He got out, that was the most critical part, and he ended up winning the race. We know that. Let's get into the rest of the stuff. All right, so the McLaren livery, I gotta say, that's amazing. That was amazing. That is how you do a throwback livery. I know that the Ferrari livery from Imola was kind of like hot and cold. I wasn't really blown away by it. It was okay. They had some, Hewlett-Packard stickers on it, but they didn't really like full on commit to that livery. I actually could see that for a couple more races. Breath of fresh air, amazing. And the magic happened 2 times in a row. Norris got his first win ever. Leclerc got his first win at Monaco. Amazing stuff happening in Formula One right now. Great start by Leclerc. Now, lap one was kind of a mess. So Sainz, he got a puncture after contact. I forgot who he had contact with, but it was great awareness for him to get the car out of the way, get the car stopped. Got into the pits, and then luckily for him, there was a red flag, so it didn't really cost him that much because he got to restart after he got that tire repaired. Now, we gotta talk Perez. Perez was out after a huge crash. Because I'm away from the studio, I'm not sure how much like actual race footage I'm gonna be putting on here, but I watched that the Perez's crash a couple of times, and it looked like he had room. So he had room to the left, and he kind of veered right, and he was kind of squeezing K-Mag. And I know that he's known as like, the Minister of Defense, but sometimes the best defense is a good offense. He had a lot of room to the left. Just drive faster, drive your car faster. I said it last week. I was like, if Perez leaves Formula One, I wouldn't be that upset. I mean, that's still kind of rough. I don't necessarily want to see him leave Formula One. He seems like a likable enough driver. He's got plenty of years left. He earned his spot, but just drive. It's hard to drive when your face is in the rearview mirror, and I feel like that's kind of like. I feel like that's what he did. The commentator said he collected a couple of cars while he was driving. And I thought that was absolutely hilarious, collecting a couple of cars as he drove. But the thing is, he did collect a couple of cars. He collected both Haas cars, K-Mag, and my wife is trying to sneak by in the background. I'm not gonna put her on camera. I don't want to do that to her, but anyway, she's walking by. But both Haas's were out. The Red Bull was out. I don't know. High hopes for Perez for next season. I'm not sure if Red Bull is gonna feel the same way. Let's move on. Piastri had a brilliant first lap against Leclerc. I was watching I think it was during the race, they were saying Piastri qualifies well, but you don't know exactly what kind of racer he is. I think that was actually kind of a good point, because I still don't know what kind of actual racer he is. He qualifies well, he gets out into the field well, and then, you know, there aren't a lot of risky passes. I don't think that that's where he is right now. But let's not forget, I think he was a, you know, Formula 3 or Formula 2 champion. Those are typically the guys that get in Formula 1, so I still think that there's a lot of bright bright future coming up for Piastri. I can't wait to see what he does next. Like I said, after lap 1, Sainz was still in the race. Great awareness by him. If we go back, K-Mag, he had nowhere to go after that crash with Perez. Like, Perez should have given him more space. It was honestly nerve-wracking to see these big current modern F1 cars going through that narrow track. If Monaco wasn't such a historic track, I would say just cancel it from the F1 calendar. They can't do that though. Monaco is a staple. Spa, which is a great track, even for this size of car, it's a staple. I would be sad actually if I saw Monaco go, even though at lap 38, I was like, why am I watching this? I do think that we missed out on seeing which car was actually the best. With so many upgrades, I could see, you know, different cars trying to take, you know, position, trying to do overtakes, but they just couldn't because Monaco is such a narrow track. So we're gonna have to wait until probably the next race to see just how good the McLaren is, or just how good the Ferrari is, or even just how good the RB20 is. I know that the RB20 does not do well on bumpy tracks. Monaco is historically known as a bumpy track, but the RB20's race pace is always outstanding. But we didn't get to see that because Perez crashed out and Verstappen was stuck in 6th place. I know he was gaining on George Russell, but again, he couldn't pass because if you go for the pass, if you don't have 4 seconds faster of pace per lap, which on a lap like that, which is, I think it was 100, a minute 14 seconds was the fast lap. If you don't have 4 seconds on a track like that, you're not gonna do a successful pass and you might DNF. So I can see why even the likes of Max Verstappen was so cautious. So I can't wait to see the next race to see what the upgrades are doing with the cars. Let's see, lap 6, Pitt tells George Russell to back away from Norris, who was in P4. Norris replies, this is the only opportunity. I can't decide if I think that was short-sighted on George Russell's part, or if he was right. Maybe he thought once we get into the race, I'm not gonna have a chance to gain a position. So maybe he was right, or maybe that was short-sighted because they were on mediums, and per the rules, you don't have to pit. You just have to use more than one tire compound. And so technically, after the red flag, you could just run that same tire. So it's basically a Formula 1 race with no pit stops and with no overtakes. So when you get out, that order that you start with is probably how you're going to finish. Meanwhile, Leclerc didn't push too hard. As a matter of fact, by the time, I want to say Lewis Hamilton got his fastest lap, I think it was a 1:14. At that point, I want to say Leclerc was running like a 1:20. Bottas ran a 1:16 when Leclerc was running 1:20. That shows you how much tire management was going on. All right. Lewis Hamilton said during the race weekend that he wasn't expecting to out-qualify George Russell anymore this season. I think that just shows how much Mercedes is kind of edging Lewis Hamilton out of the technical briefings. George Russell got the new upgraded rear wing, which is why he, part of why he qualified better than Lewis Hamilton. So I think, save for just little unique opportunities that Hamilton is going to have throughout the season, Mercedes is not favoring George Russell. But here's the thing, I don't think George Russell is the guy that is going to take Mercedes to where they need to be. He's a great driver, but I don't even think he's up there with Norris. I don't think he's up there with Piastri. Definitely not up there with Hamilton. Definitely not up there with Verstappen, which is why Mercedes is looking so hard to try to find or to get, the likes of Kimi Antonelli in. We've already discussed that like a million times. I'm not going to talk about that one anymore. At least not on this video anyway. Let's see, how many pages of notes do I have left? I've got 1 page. This has been a long video. For a race with no overtakes, actually, there's a lot of stuff to say about it. And that's because, for the rest of the season, I'm not sure just how dominant the Red Bull team is going to be. Again, I think they're going to win the Drivers' Championship. I think they're going to win the Constructors' Championship. But there might be some other teams for the rest of the season that might win. And when you have that happen, you have longer videos because you have more speculation, you have more to react to. The last 2 races, 2 different teams won. That's amazing. That's great for Formula One. And it just shows people that you are actually watching a real competition, and that is going to make people tune in. Let me finish this video. Let's see. I will admit, by lap 38, I was tempted to hit fast forward because I was watching it after the fact. I stayed away from social media. I didn't want to know who won. I stayed away, but I was like, oh, let me edge forward. But no, I owe it to myself. I owe it to you guys to watch the whole race because stuff happens. Little insights happen. Commentators say interesting things. That's why I stayed in it. And that's why I'm going to keep watching every race for you guys, for me, for just, the love of the sport. But anyway, lap 38, I was tempted to hit fast forward. And then lap 39, Ferrari radios Leclerc saying, hey, can you slow down a little bit? At this point, really? I'm already bored out of my mind. Like, all the action happened in the first 10 laps. And anyway, that was crazy. Lap 43, Lance Stroll made a pit stop, and that was the most excitement that we had. He made a pit stop. Oh my gosh, there's action going on. And then he quickly got a flat tire, so it was kind of crazy. Lewis Hamilton got the fastest lap at lap 57. Like I said, the RB20 doesn't like bumps. Man, I was watching the race, and there were drivers with 63 lap old tires. And let me see. Oh, my last note. If Monaco wasn't such a historic race with so much, just like such a fabled story, I would say take it off the calendar. But you can't. You got to keep it. I mean, honestly, that's where a lot of the Formula One drivers live anyway. And you owe it to them you got to have a race weekend at home. Why not? Why not? So that's it. That's the video for this week. I'm probably not going to do a lot of graphics, a lot of replays, a lot of highlights. Maybe I find the Perez crash footage because that was insane, and I put that on there. But outside of that, this has been the Petrolist Monday video, not from the studio. I'm gonna have a beer, I'm gonna jump in the pool, and I will see you guys next week. I'm out.